Well, welcome back to another episode of the Newt News Podcast. We're doing another one of our 2024 Cardinals player profiles, and today we're talking about Nolan Gorman, who I like a lot of the offseason conversation was like Team Nolan Gorman or Team Brendan Donovan. Why can't we be Team both? Nolan Gorman has just that left-handed power that is just so exciting, right? And 2 years ago, he went on that home run tear in AAA, got called up, was really good for a little bit, then struggled, got sent down, called back up. It was an okay part of a rookie year, right? It was nothing special, but he was fine. Last year, he came out swinging. He started the year an amazing all-star level tear, followed up by a terrible month of June, which we'll get into, and then continued the rake throughout the year. And he finished with a 118 WRC plus, 478 slug. He hit 27 home runs in just 119 games. So the name of the game for Nolan Gorman is that power. Andrew, what are some of the things you're thinking about as Nolan Gorman is coming into 2024?
Yeah, I think Nolan Gorman's ceiling is Kyle Schwarber with not terrible defense in the outfield. So that's like really, really good, right? Like a lot of home runs, a lot of strikeouts too, but that's to be expected with someone like him. Heart of the order hitter, the left-handed power bat that we've been needing for so long. I wish we could have had two, but we have one with Nolan Gorman, and that's really exciting because we've like every big playoff caliber, World Series caliber team has one. Like the Yankees have Juan Soto, the Braves have Matt Olson, the Dodgers have Freddie Freeman and someone else, and the Astros have Yordan Alvarez, and just like all of these teams have this premier left-handed power bat, and Nolan Gorman is hopefully that for the Cardinals this year and in the future. And 27 home runs in what was it, 110, 100, what was it, 115 games? That's a lot.
Games.
Yeah. So
119 games.
Right. So that's like he got hurt, had some back issues towards the end of the season, and had a June where he hit worse than Taylor Motter in the same sample size as Taylor Motter, which is just like not ever going to happen again, probably, hopefully. And getting that kind of production out of a lefty bat is what we need. And he's not held in the same regard as like Matt Olson or Yordan Alvarez, but he can hit home runs of the same caliber and same rate as some of those guys at their peak. So it's really exciting. He's getting better defensively at second base, which we like to see. And yeah, I'm really excited for him. I know the projection systems aren't, but we're really excited for him here.
Yeah, in 2022, geez, he was a negative 12 outs above average in his rookie year, which is just not good. And then he followed that up in 2023 and a little bit more innings. So because he didn't play a full season, he was only -2. So he made a 10-run improvement right there. That is like he's still below average defender at the position, or maybe right at average, but that's a significant step forward for him. And then the big thing I think I alluded to a little bit earlier is the plate stuff too. Like so last year, that month of June, 22 WRC plus. Like Andrew said, he was worse than Taylor Motter at the plate. He was striking out all the time. He had a 211 OBP, 229 slug. Horrible. But then in the rest of 2023, so every month before June, every month after June, 338 appearances, he had a 137 WRC plus, which would have made him like the 14th best hitter in all of baseball, an 880 OPS, a 530 slug. So the name, like something that is just a reality of Nolan Gorman's game, is he's a streaky hitter. You just can't get around that. He's going to have stretches where he's on fire. He's going to have stretches where he's cold. But I think it's safe to assume he's not going to be the worst hitter in baseball for 76 plate appearances in a row. And if he doesn't do that, then his numbers already are going to take a significant step forward, even if he's just the same player, but doesn't hit like the rock bottom that he did for an entire month last year. So if we talk about best case, worst case scenario for Nolan Gorman this year, I think best case scenario is he's a guy that hits 35, potentially 40 home runs at second base, and like an 870, 880 OPS guy, maybe a little bit lower than that, but like 850, 860, 870. Ton of power, ton of RBIs, gets on base a lot because he's got a good eye actually too. Not a super high average, but will basically get on base or mash the ball. Average defender at second base, and then is probably a top 5 second baseman in all of baseball, right? He's in the all-star conversation. He's batting third for the Cardinals and like absolutely raking for them. I think that's best case scenario. Worst case scenario for Gorman is I think the strikeouts continue to be a problem for him. I just think he has so much talent that it's hard to think he's going to be a bad hitter. But I think maybe like what his projections are, where he's more of like a 110 WRC plus guy, 108. Like I think that's like worst case scenario for him, and he's not a good defender at all. And then maybe he's DHing a lot because of his back. I know I don't really like to use injuries as worst case scenario for people, but I think for Nolan Gorman, it's fair because the back injury is a thing. So if the back continues to keep him out, I feel like worst case scenario for him is he just doesn't play enough. He plays like 110 games, and then when he's in, he's too streaky, a lot of strikeouts. Andrew, what's like the highs and lows, the best case, worst case scenario for Gorman for you?
Yeah, so I think the best case is that Nolan Gorman takes a step forward as an all-star caliber hitter, one of the top second basemen in the league. Obviously, not like the best defensively, but maybe one of the best hitting second basemen in the entire league. Getting that many home runs from that position is really, really valuable. All the left-handed power bats that we mentioned, none of them are second basemen, so that's really exciting to be getting that from Gorman. Worst case, I feel like the Zips projections honestly are pretty comparable to what I imagine Nolan Gorman to be in his worst seasons. Obviously, the back could come back. It's been a concern this offseason. I think Nolan Gorman changed his diet a little bit to make sure that didn't happen. But honestly, yeah, the worst case is he gets hurt and just doesn't play a lot, has to DH a lot, which that DH spot is going to be very fluid. Honestly, I think Gorman is going to see a lot of time at that DH spot because Donovan's going to need to play second base. And there's just not going to be a lot of opportunities for like other hitters. Like Contreras is going to get a lot of DH days. Gorman's going to get a lot of DH days. And I feel like other than that, it's going to be like rest days for Goldie and Arenado. So I don't know if it's completely fair to say that DH days are a bad thing, but yeah, the back injury coming back, I think is just the worst case for him.
Yeah, I think it'll be really interesting to see who is the DH when their best lineups out there. I'm tending to think that like maybe for the regular season at least that Nolan Gorman is actually the second baseman and Brendan Donovan's the DH because I think they want Nolan Gorman. They want guys to start playing positions consistently. And so if they're going to have one guy move around, I think it's going to be Donovan. But then you could also make the argument that Gorman might be the backup third baseman or Arenado's out. So maybe it is. We'll see. Like you said, I think it's going to be really fluid. Let's go to the Zips projections because you mentioned them. I've mentioned them a little bit, and then let's talk about our actual like predictions for Nolan Gorman. So Andrew mentioned that the Zips projections might be kind of on for his worst case, and I kind of agree here. They have him as a 227 hitter. Oh, sorry, I look into his ISO. 240 hitter, 315, 317 OBP, 467 slug, which is about a 780, 84 OPS, which is about 30 points less than last year. So like they're having him regress, which is interesting to me, and a 112 WRC plus. I'm taking the over on that pretty hard. I'm gonna guess he's about 118 last year WRC plus. I'm putting him at like a 125. Because I'm still baking in he's going to have the stretches where he's a cold hitter. And I would maybe say like 120, 25 games because of the back. You just never really know. I hope it's more than that. And I think if he's healthy, he's going to be like, I actually think they'll sit Brendan Donovan more often than they would Nolan Gorman because Donovan doesn't have good splits against left-handed pitching. And Nootbaar is actually a little bit weaker against left-handed pitching too. So I think Gorman will consistently be the top third of the lineup or top 6 in the lineup. But yeah, I see him being a significant bat. I think he smashes the over 30. I think he gets about 35 home runs, maybe even more. But I think about 35 is fair for him. Maybe leads the team in RBIs. He's a clutch hitter. He's been really good. But yeah, I would say like a 125 WRC plus, putting him at like a 820-ish OPS. I think it's going to be a really big year for Nolan Gorman.
Yeah, I feel like pretty much right on. I think Nolan Gorman has all-star potential. One of the guys that I think almost guarantees if he's playing up to his full potential that he'll make the team because there's just not that much depth at second base in the National League. But I think he could truly cement himself as batting third in the lineup. I know I've had Jordan Walker kind of floating up in the lineup as well, but I feel like Nolan Gorman will be hitting it in the heart of the lineup still by the end of the season and postseason if that ends up happening. But yeah, I think 35 home runs is something that's very reasonable to expect if Nolan Gorman stays healthy. That June is never going to happen again, I don't think. I just don't think it's possible to have a stretch that's bad. That's that bad when he's already figured out so many things, made so many adjustments at the major league level that I just don't think it's really that likely that it will happen. He'll have cold stretches, which is fine, but he won't be what he was in June.
to just hammer home the point again about how much that June tanked his stats, I remember Gorman being in the All-Star conversation before that point, and I remember even in the moment being like, "How is he out of it?" He was a 145 WRC plus guy in the season entering June. He had a 915 OPS June 1st. He was insane. He was so good to start the season. He had 13 home runs in that stretch, 41 RBIs in the first 2 months of the season. Like, Nolan Gorman can easily put together a first half where he's an all-star, even potentially the all-star starter at second base. I mean, Mookie Betts is there now, so that makes it
Oh
really
yeah, I
difficult.
forgot.
So, like, if you assuming he stays at second base, I don't really know how possible that is, and Otani at DH now, but like fighting with Ozzy Albies for that second spot, it's possible. It really is. So again, if even if Nolan Gorman is just like a 60 WRC plus guy, 70 WRC plus guy, which means he's remember that's a scale of a league average. So he was 78% worse than league average in June. If he's just like 30% worse than league average, his numbers are still insane entering the All-Star break, and he probably makes the All-Star team. So it's reasonable to be very high on Nolan Gorman. I get why the projection systems are low, just because I mean they don't really bake in some of that context sometimes. I know why people are really high on him, so we'll have to see. Well, I'm excited for Nolan Gorman this year. I know he's a name that a lot of people are watching. We're going to continue to break down different Cardinals throughout spring training and do some more player profiles. So if you like this or interested in our podcast, other fun videos we put out, please hit the subscribe button. It helps the channel a ton. You'll continue to get more fun Cardinals content. We're really excited about the 2024 season we'll bring for the Cardinals and for Nolan Gorman, and we'll see you guys next time.